Python is basically for, they are server-side language. They call them server-side because they basically interact with the computer itself. So all these JavaScript interacts with computer also. So like the way it is, like I think I was explaining that day that we have the client side and the server side. Yeah. So the server side basically is like, it's still like a computer, but it hosts everything that you have for client to interact and to talk to communicate with. So on the server side, right? This is our server side. Now this is basically entire like web. You see the HTML and CSS. Do you see that it's not under? It's just there, colored, and that is it. But JavaScript, you have the JavaScript, you have jQuery, you have React, Angular, JS. Now this is it. If you know JavaScript and you are very good in JavaScript, you can work with jQuery, you can work with React. You can, in fact, this one is even facing ourselves. Nobody uses jQuery again. My organ on the go. Angular, JS, JSON. JSON is JavaScript object notation. It's just like is a key value. Is a key value like data type in JavaScript. Then we have Ajax. Ajax is used to make API calls. API call, like API to make the call. Yeah, to your home backend. So the front end uses Ajax to make requests to you. Exactly. Then, so you, because you are the backend, you are sitting where database is.
And where API can be out.
And yeah, you can talk to database. So that's why API is always like, it's always good to, when you're working on, when you want to start working with backend, the first thing that comes to your mind, the first thing is security. You understand? Because if anybody have access to a database, your application is gone. Then under programming, we have R, we have C#, like you know this one, C#, C++, Java, C. Out of all this language, the most powerful language is C++. And I will tell you why. C++ communicates directly to your computer. It has with this compiler. So it communicates directly to your machine language, low-level language, exactly. But JavaScript, in fact, Node.js, is built on C++. So after I've written in Node.js, it converts to C++, then converts to low level. PHP also sits on C++. So C++ is a very powerful language. They use it to write virus. All these virus, they use it to write virus too. And it's always heavy. So I think there was a time, was it 2013 or 2014? No, I can't remember. A virus came out. They analyzed the virus. It was built with C++. They don't know who built that virus because it's very powerful. Built with, and the virus, because C++, because C++ is always heavy, but the programmer built it to have kilobytes in size. That means very small. So when the virus enters the computer and you try to format that computer to clear the virus, it auto-creates a section for itself inside your hard drive. So you format, after formatting, it extracts itself back. So they were not like, who on earth can create something as smart as this? Because when you're trying to format your computer, you are sending an instruction to the computer. So the language can listen to the instruction. You know to format, okay. It will just hide itself and create like it's, because it's very small now, just like a kilobyte. So you format the rest, then, and it's very smart that if you put flash, it will clone itself, like it can duplicate. So half of it remains in your system. The other part of it enters your flash. You take the flash to another system. It enters, it duplicates itself inside the flash, enters the system, remains in the flash. So with that, it spreads very well on the system. Yeah, so these are the languages. Then on the server side that sits with the server, SQL is structured query language. So the language you use to communicate with the database is SQL. So without SQL, you can't talk to the database. It's a language. Then MySQL is a database itself. PHP is a server-side language that communicates to the database through MySQL. So when you communicate to MySQL, the language is not used, because the language MySQL understands is the SQL. Then ASP is similar to PHP, but ASP is, I think, it's owned by Microsoft. Then Node.js is the server side for JavaScript. Because JavaScript basically handles the front end. It's an event. It captures your event and everything happening on your browser. Then Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is used for what do they call this thing? Like automation. Exactly. So you have a chip. A chip. Yeah, something like that. Exactly. So you can program that chip that when something enters this field, trigger an alarm. So it's just there and that. Then Git is just like having a repository where you store code. So like you use Git command to move your code to the Git repository and take it back. So for Git, we have Bitbucket and we have GitHub. For Git, there are others, but that's the most popular. Bitbucket and GitHub. For Raspberry Pi, you can actually get Raspberry Pi from China. You have to like bring it in. Then for Node.js, you have access to Node.js. You have access to ASP, PHP, and everything like that. I think that's all. So Apache is the web server. MySQL is the database. FileZilla is used to move your files or your designed application from your local system to the server.
PHP is actually complete.
Then,
Is it complete?
the exam?
No, like PHP until it's complete. Like you have those breakdown, everything, design.
They are almost the same thing. So you start Apache and start MySQL. Have you started? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Have you? Then go to your C drive. Go to your C drive. Set your C drive. Double tap. Your C drive. See me that I'm not using Windows 7. I even know. Okay. This PC. Correct. This is XAMPP. Enter XAMPP. Enters. Open this thing. I have a feeling that this man wants to become a full stack engineer. The way he's tackling me in class, and he will listen, sit down comfortably and be listening. Yeah, XAMPP. So have you opened XAMPP?
Yes.
You will see htdocs. htdocs. So henceforth, if you are designing anything I'm teaching you, save it inside htdocs. So open htdocs. Open it. Yep. Have you opened it? Okay. Create a folder. Call it CACKFT-TUT.
Wait.
What do you say? Okay, pair. Okay, yeah, it's fine. You know, this man wants to become a full stack. So if you are pairing with him, you might probably become full stack too. So have you installed it? CACKFT. Open your browser. Open your browser. So don't worry, we'll sort it out. So go to on your browser, type localhost. Localhost represents 127. So anytime you see localhost 127.0.0.1, it's talking to your system, your local system. Have you typed localhost /? Now, the name of the folder, that's CACKFT. Remember that I told you that everything you are saving. So remember I said you should put everything inside htdocs. So immediately put localhost / your computer is referencing to the htdocs directory. Don't worry, bro Mark, we are still, your own is configured already. I just want to So put / CACKFT-tut. CACKFT-tut. / CAC. The name of the folder. Yeah, do the same thing. Oh, you've done it? Enter. Press enter. What do you get? Blank, white.
Not black, not found.
Yours is not found. Let me see.
You cannot put
iPhone TUT. So are we good?
Yes.
All right. So inside the index of PHP now, write your HTML file there. Set your HTML file, the head and the body. Have you written anything there? Just write anything inside your body. You can just do H1, hello world. I want to show you how it works. So inside that index.php, you notice that we did not put slash index.php. I was expecting someone to ask me that question, that how come that is getting the index? We just put index.php, but we just put CSCKFT, no nothing at the front, because the browser or your server actually automatically dictates index.php as the root. So you don't need to put it. But when you have another something like process.php, so that means if you want to access that, you now do CSCKFT-2/process.php, then it will now refer to that file. But when you put index, yeah, it's fine. Go to index.php. Have you done it? Go and refresh your page. Save and refresh. Save and refresh. It works. Exactly. Now, you notice that what we actually write there is an HTML file, but PHP can still interpret it. So now what we now want to do now is we will have our HTML, write PHP code inside HTML, and PHP will execute everything.
So like
that's monolithic app. So you build a full complete website with PHP and HTML. Monolithic. It's not splitted now. We don't have API. We don't have front end. So it's together.
Okay, but this one I are now, instead of using that CSS to style.
No, CSS2 is still part. PHP will read everything.
you see that like as the accountant, I think that if it is Python, you have to go and start
no,
with
you can do it with Python. So with Python, you will have a folder called views.
Yes.
Inside of views, that's where you have all your HTML files. So now, because of the way the technology has advanced, you can now use a template engine. They call it templating engine, like EGS. You have, okay, we have EGS, we have Twig. So they will now like convert everything you write as EGS file or Twig file to HTML that the browser can understand. Yeah.
This one I can do it inside.
Yeah, that's how it should be. This is just the basics. Don't worry, we are still getting there. Maybe by the time, I forgot. Gift. Demilade. Okay, correct. I don't, you know, queens now. Okay, now go to your index.php and write HTML file. So now, let me check my own setup. I'm having a bug. So I'm having this error. Any error that has 5 backend, any error that has 5. Who is doing backend there? Today we're calling you. Nobody, everybody has run away now. Nobody is doing backend again. Actually, I will tell everybody. Everybody that have 5 means it's a server error. It's coming. It's not your fault. It's coming from the server. If it has 4, it's a client error. That means it's the user. If it has 200, that is successful. So 502 means bad gateway. 403 means forbidden.
There's something.
401 unauthorized.
There is sometimes when you, after maybe a while now, they give you a site.
Have you opened the?
No, what is it?
Wait. No, go to your yes. Open it with Notepad. Yeah, it's still installing. No, just is your system now. No, we have a lot of error codes. Oh, Tomiwa, we have a lot. There are more. Don't even. So we have 400 bad requests, 401 unauthorized, 403 forbidden, 404 not found, 405 method not allowed, 409 forgone or something. There are too many requests. That's 400 level error. We now have 500 level error, 500 internal server error, exactly. Then 502 bad gateway. See, there are plenty. I can't count everything, but there are server errors actually. Then 503 is service unavailable. Like the service you're trying to access is not available. So you have it, Abi. You know what? And don't let me wait for my own system. You get? Let me wait for my own system. But it would have been nice if I wait for my own. But here, let's pay it out. So now, what I want to, let me just quickly brief you through, like, PHP. So I'll open W3 schools, then I will show you what it means. It's up. I've set it up. Yeah. Yep. So, don't mind my own. I'm not using local host. Now I told you now. I normally do some configuration. Yeah. So let's start. Now we have index.php. We have our HTML. We have our HTML. Yeah. So we are good. So, see, HTML tag inside the PHP, and it's saying interpret it. That's what we are going to now. So, inside of your PHP, and that HTML, clear it and start with PHP. So, Brahma, your own is already set. Something like this. Then to start PHP, you have to have this. Then remember that you close it. So anything in between here, in between this tag, is called your PHP code. It goes there. Do you get? So this is a comment. I think I taught you comments. We have a block comment and a line comment. Yeah. So this is a comment. So I'm going to W3 schools. Okay, so we've gone through the installation, the intro. I've already explained the installation. We've gone through it. Then the installation is that XAMPP that we just did. Although there is a wide, like the way I set up my own now, you can see install PHP as a standalone. Then the syntax, which is the opening and the closing. You see, you start PHP with this and you end it. So I'll be very fast. Don't worry, I'll be very, very fast. Then the next thing is the comment. I've shown you comment already. So let me show you inline comment, and this is a block comment. So when I run this code now, if I do like this, echo tosin, this part will not run because it's a comment. So to write a comment, this one does not need to be there. To write a comment, this is a block comment because you cannot write like different sentences inside that comment. Then for inline comment, make a double stroke and say this is an inline comment. So when you save and you go to your browser and refresh, it changes from this is. Yes. Do you notice a lag? Like it rolls, like it keeps rolling. Just watch this side. This thing now, if I refresh, this side it rolls, and that's the server side because it's making requests to the server, which is a local system PHP. But for JavaScript, if you use HTML, it doesn't reload your browser. It's a background process. Yes. So you just see, that's why you see something like loading. So loading or fetching. You see something like a loader fetching. So on the background, it's making the request, but it doesn't refresh your entire browser. That's the difference. Now that they call PHP is server side because that's will refloat to make requests to the server to go and get the resource and render it. Exactly. So can we proceed? Okay, nice. So we have variables now. There are in Python is dynamically typed. JavaScript is dynamically typed. PHP is dynamically typed. So I will show you what they mean by type now. So in variables is basically like an entity that we use to hold resource. It's just like let's say you want to hold a name. So for example now Prince, I can just assign Prince to a variable called name. So anytime I call name, Prince will come out. Do you understand? It's just like an AKA. Let's say I've forgotten it. What's the name? Let's say Temi Tokwe now. We're not giving AKA of Temi. So if you call Temi, who will answer? Exactly. So it's just like assigning a string, numbers, or anything inside a variable. So what I mean by statically type and dynamically type is, in PHP, you don't need to specify the type of the data type of what you are storing as a variable, because we have string, we have integer, we have float, we have big int, we have different type of data types. But in PHP, once you just assign it, it understands. Like it's internally, it tries to read the type, like the type of this, which is string, now assign it as a string. But in Golang, you need to, like in Golang, you need to, that's why I said the Golang is a bit kind of more advanced. You need to specify that, okay, this variable I'm assigning, what I want to store inside is a string. So if you are trying to store, exactly. So when you're trying to store anything aside string inside it, it will throw an error, a typed error actually. So this is how you declare a variable. So now let's now try it. Now everybody will write. I do the typing. We are assigning a variable. That's how you learn fast. We are assigning a variable. So yeah, in between it now, bro Mark, we are starting now. Okay, so in between now, to write variable in PHP.
In PHP, remember when we started with open and we close? We don't close.
No, that one doesn't have that. It's HTML. That's HTML problem. Okay, so and this one is a programming language now.
So once it does open now,
see, this is the opening, and we close it. So anything here is no longer PHP again. You see that the text there is white. This one is not. So anything here, it's interpreted as PHP as HTML. So it's just render on the browser like that. So let's assign a variable. To assign a variable, you use $, $sign, US dollar, cash, owo, kudi, ego, $name equals now. If you are rendering out, a string, you have to put it in a quote or a double quote. So you can either use this. Can you see it? You can either use this or you use this. But for execution, we want to execute fast, because you can do something like this and still pass in something like variable name. You see, it's interpreted as variable. So it's better you use this. Please, if you're not getting it, just like draw my attention back. So let's say you can put your name there. Then after you have finished writing your line of code, you have to close that line. Yeah. So in JavaScript, in Node.js, you don't need to close. Don't worry, Node.js will close it for you. But PHP, ensure you close with this. So if you do not close with this, it will throw error. So if you save, now, if PHP should execute this now, it will assign a space in your memory and pass tosin into it. So anytime you call name, Golang now use reference. Like it references that memory space. At times you see closure, you see reference. I don't know, maybe you've seen anything like that. So now, if I want to output what I have in name, you can now say echo $name. So what do you expect name to be? Tosin. So let's try it.
And when you are echoing, you close it again.
No. Yeah, you close this line. This line, you must close it to. So what it means is, because it will be reading line by line, so this must be closed. Do you get it? Please, if you don't get it, just draw me back, please. Are you getting it? So do you get it? Now, text is holding hello world. X is holding 5. Y is holding 10.5. So basically, a variable can have a short, okay. And please, don't use number for variable name. Don't use number for variable name. But let me rush the other part. Then echo, we already know what echo is for. It's to output what you've written. Then the data types. So we have, like I said, we have string, we have integer, we have number, we have boolean, we have array, object, null, and resource. Now, when you write something like your name, that quote becomes a string. What's the next one? Okay, string. When you write something like 7, it becomes a number. PHP number. When you write a float, it has dots. So 500.05 because it's a float. A boolean is always 2, either true or false. So a variable can hold either true or false. So it's very simple, it's something like this. So everybody can watch. So you see the 1, the string, and the 45. Now remember I said something that what the computer understands is zeros and 1. So when it is true, it becomes 1. When it is false, it becomes 0. So when I assign bool as true, PHP returns it as what? As 1. Do you get it now? So when it is 1, that means it is true. Then we have the string, the numbers. These are numbers, are all like integers. Then when they have the decimal part, it becomes a float, 2.5. Then we now have the math. This math is a math function in PHP. I can't teach you this because you have to learn it yourself. Right? It is a math function in PHP. Then we have a constant. Now, you will ask me that what is the difference between a variable and a constant? Now, I will explain. Remember that I said name holds Tosin. I can come below this line and put name equals to Prince. And come below this line and put name equals to Tomiwa, right? When I assign the first one, it's Tosin. PHP continues. I assign the second one. I assign the second one. So it overrides the first one. So instead of outputting Tosin, it now output Prince. So if I now, it continues again, Tomiwa, so it overrides Prince and replaces it with Tomiwa. But with constant, what you're trying to tell the language is, I've assigned this value to this variable name. Nothing must change it. Do you get? A practical example is when you are setting your website-based URL. Let's see www.testing.com. So it's assigned testing.com. That means testing.com, you want it, the base URL of your website is always testing.com. So if anybody comes and tries to override testing.com, it will throw an error that has already been defined. Do you get? Let me come again. Constant, when you create a constant, you can't reassign the value. It's only assigned at the point of creation. But with variable, you can reassign it. Now, here comes the difference. So to write a constant, it is called define. So this is what you can use to actually identify a constant. Always make it a capital letter, like an uppercase. So that when you see it, you know that, okay, this is actually a constant. Who know what this is in HTML? Exactly. So when I refresh, instead of that tosin, instead of tosin, it will change. Okay, I'm coming. Unexpected T echo 914. See, it changes to Tomiwa. So sorry, when you're defining, right, it's supposed to go up. You can even define anywhere actually. It doesn't really matter. So now it overrides Tosin and Tomiwa, right? But it's always advisable when you're defining at the top of your, like immediately after you open that PHP tag, you define there. So when you define, that means in any part of your code you can now reuse your constant. Do you understand? So now I've assigned name to be better now. I assign constant name to be Tosin. So I can come and say so when you write define, right, the first letter here becomes the key. Why this becomes the value? So it was trying to call a constant that have not been defined. Sorry. So what do I call that one?
You run from up to down. So to print the first thing you have to print. Echo the first thing you have to print.
No, this is constant name. The first one is Tomiwa. The second one is, it should be Prince. Okay. So this is Prince. So that means the constant name is holding Prince. So what I want to show now, the reason why I comment this one out is, now, let me try and I will take question now, I'm coming. Now let's see what will happen. So that means, can you see it? So that constant name has already been defined, so you can't define it again. So that's the difference between a constant and a variable. A variable you can actually define over and over, you can override them, but with constant you can't. Your question, Prince. Your question.
My question is, why is that the PHP and the HTML and the CSS in this one now, where the CSS is like kind of sidelined, whether it's totally removed to
CSS is meant for styling, but we are not doing anything styling now. We are just working on the programming language now. No, we've not. So do we get like the constant and the variable now? So that's constant. Now we now have operators. So these operators, I can just give you like okay, I think we can read it. Let's just read it. When you see this, it means plus, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus. Modulus means the remainder. When you divide, let's say 5 divided by 2, I think you have 2 remainder 1. Am I correct? I don't know math again.
Remainder is 1.
Remainder is 1. So if you put 5 modulus 2, it will return 1. If you do 5 modulus 2, this one 5 divided by 2 to give you that's the division, but modulus will give you the variable. So you can use modulus to get even number and odd number. If the result of this is 0, this, if this 1, this, then we have exponential. Like say you are raising to the power of 2 raised to the power 10, just to 2 asterisk 3 to return what? 8. Yeah. So that's basically the operator. Now let me show you what is happening. We have $first equals to 45. $second equals to 50. Do you get it? So I can say echo $first times $second. So PHP, we multiply it and give you the response and give you the answer. Do you get it? So that's the arithmetic operator, like a mathematical function. In case you will still use it in when you're writing your back end, like you will see, and you're using your front end, so you use it because let's say you have seven people subscribe to TomTom, then 5 people subscribe to Baba Blue, and now said, okay, how many people? So in your chart, they now need the total number of people, the total number of subscription. How many of them goes for Blue? How many goes for this thing? So you can either do it from the back end or from the front end. So when you give it to a front end person, you said 5 subscribe to TomTom, 7 subscribe to Baba Blue. The front end will now take 5 and 7, multiply it. You can do it from the back end for him, for the front end, and say TomTom is 5. When you just say TomTom, print out like an object notation, TomTom 5, this one 7, total equals to this times this. Then if you reply, you see, like that's the use. Yeah, exactly. You can just say to echo that. But when you start using functions, you can now, instead of echo, we now use return. So when you call that function, it returns the result for you. So do we get it now? Can I proceed to if conditional statements? So for conditional statements, right, they are called if else, they are called conditional statements. It's just to validate if something is true or false. So it's very simple. We have Boolean here. So you can say if $bool echo so if this is true, it will echo this. Are you getting it? Like, are we getting it at all? So when looking at this, will it output this or not?
You not tell it when it is anything. Just say equally. Okay, it's true.
So will it execute this or not?
It will.
Okay, this is how it works. If this thing is true, if anything inside this function is true, it's just like you are asking computer, if Tomiwa is a female, do this. Do you get?
But I want to break it down. Like, for example, when I say if Boolean, did you just know if Boolean is true? We're not telling if anything is true.
Exactly. That's what I want you to understand something. Because we already assigned Boolean to be true. Yeah. So you're now asking computer, is true true?
Okay, if true, echo Boolean is true.
Exactly. So because we've already assigned Boolean here to be true, so it will be true. So you're now asking, is true true? Because I know that 1 is true, so it does return. So it will now execute this. Now, I can now say else. No, let me use else. If so the difference now is this is an assignment operator. I use 1 equals to. I'm comparing now. Exactly. So, as it's coming like this. Oh wait, let me remove this thing now. Boolean is true. So that means true is true. This place it's always confused because at times, me if I'm writing code, I will now be questioning myself if is it true. You understand? Now this is the simplest way of using if, but notice something. If is inside this bracket. Okay, this is inside bracket, so you can do something like this is not inside the bracket, so you can do something like this. Do you notice that I put not here?
Yes.
Exactly. So, and remember that Boolean is true. So I'm not telling the computer that
If not true.
true and false. What will 0 and 1 give you? 0 times 1.
Zero.
Exactly. So it becomes false. It executes everything here. If I remove this, it executes everything here. Do we get it?
Like if the condition in that if statement is not true,
It returns else. Exactly.
If it is true, it just executes it.
Exactly. Exactly. Do we get it? So now, you can now say that if you can do something like if, else if, and else. That means if this is not true, and this is not still true, then execute this. Try, catch, final. Do you get? Try this, catch if there's error, catch. On everything, finalize it.
So
Exception.
what, that kind of block of code, what will it do? Will it, if it is that the thing they tried is working, will it really try and final?
No, it will now run the try and now run the final. Like on final, run this on without error. Yeah, without error, yes. But it must because if there is error, it should now leave try and go to catch. But when we get there, I will show you all the tricks. But this is basically the if and else statement. So the if anything is inside, anything inside this is true, do this. Else if this, do this. But this is a bit kind of complicated. I will tell you why. Because at times you have Boolean, you have this, else if. You're gonna have different else if, like a lot of else if. Then they now come about what we call switch statements. Just imagine like a switch. So we have a switch statement. So let's say, okay. Now, what we're trying to do is, if name is equals to anything inside the case, execute that part. So we have case. So now, this is similar to else if, and I will still show you. Okay, so now, this is if statement. We are saying that if name, if the value of name, like you remember variable, right? Do you remember variable? Like the value of variable.
See, just like the last one.
Exactly. This is JavaScript switch case. Exactly. This is exactly switch case JavaScript. So, if anything inside name, right? If it is Tosin, it will execute this. If it is Tomiwa, it will execute this. If it's Prince, it will execute this. So with this also, you can still do something like if. So you can do something like this. So it's the same thing. So which one will you prefer between this and this?
Second.
You prefer this one?
Yes. Like if I give someone that does not know anything about code, I give this thing, I say, okay, if name is equal to Noah, code Noah.
But it's very easy, like just like a switch. Anything inside this switch, does it match this? Does it match this? Is it matching this? No.
So that case now is called that switch keyword.
Yes, exactly. So it's just like this case is what we now have as this. So it should still return the same response. Tomiwa. Boolean is false. So that means this is what is running. So you see, it's still the same thing.
And why it seems because that's because we override.
Exactly. So if override Tosin. So do you like? Is it not interesting? Like programming when you start writing it. wait. Like, are you? This is not. Is it not interesting?
It's interesting now.
It's not. So now, let me go over it because our time is up, right?
Our time will not be up in Jesus' name.
Okay, this session is up. This is a name. Like this line 8 is you are assigning a variable. You are giving. Okay, just like I gave this cloth to Temitope. Like take this cloth. When next, if I call Temitope, what will I say on Temitope? Is this cloth? I gave this name Tosin to this name. So anytime I call name, Tosin will come out. Do we understand it? Do you understand that part? I now said that okay, the next line I now give Tomiwa this name. So which means I give this my hoodie to Temitope, right? Then another person comes and give its own clothes to Temitope. What will Temitope do? He will pull off the hoodie and wear that new one. So he shed the tears and the feathers and everything. It's just like you shedding, you get, and taking another clothes. So when next now call name, I don't know why I even put Tomiwa under my name. My name should be first, so that Tomiwa will be second. So the next time you call name, Tomiwa will now come out. Do you get it? Gift, do you get it? Exactly. No, Tomiwa is not replacing me, don't worry. In fact, let me change the name. Let me change the name. Let's name 1 and name 2. So it's very clear now, we can understand. Don't use name because so I'm just kidding actually. So do you get it? I think name is better. So the name is better. Because if you change this, if you change it to name 1 and name 2, it will affect our switch statement. So you understand this one? What do you understand define constant? Do you understand constant? So that one cannot be changed. Once you assign this value prince to the constant, you can't change it again. So if you try to do another define, you throw error that this has already been defined.
Well, that's really like the constant thing, like you can say define
Just like this.
that.
Yes, you can still define that
Just
thing.
like in CSS when you use a radio to hold on to one value.
Exactly. So if you click this radio, if you're trying to use it, like you can now move to another radio. You understand? It will not disable this one, come this one. Now, something like that. But with constant now, if you already assign it, you can't change it over again. It's assigned. No. Okay, it's very simple. It's very simple. As you are a man now. Can you become a woman tomorrow?
No.
You are constantly a man. That's it. Constant. Do we get it now?
Very good.
So now what we just do is just to like output what our variable is holding. Gift, do you get it? Sorry, what's the name? It's like okay. Like you're now echoing our value of name. Wait to who is Bolu? I asked your name now. Okay. So we get to this part, right, where you echo. So you understand the concept of the variable exactly. You understand this? Okay, don't worry about this.
Like that, what I don't understand.
Don't worry about this. Do you understand? I'm talking to my students. Okay, let me explain something. So in programming language, there's what we call concatenation, where you can concatenate like variables. So I added Boolean, then this dot means I'm concatenating. So I now concatenate space. concatenate string, concatenate space, concatenate, so that you can see the one space, the name space, the number. So it's a concept of concatenation. In JavaScript, they use plus for concatenation. So there is a problem when you want to add two numbers in JavaScript. Remember that plus is still like concatenation type. Yeah.
What about?
No, you can change it another way.
So what about those places they use Java plus maybe they want to add something?
That one is increment. Plus is you are incrementing the number. Plus means plus one. So do we get it to this part? Gift, Demilade, Titilayo, Boluwa, Tife, Prince, Tomiwa, Mark, Temitope. I got everybody's name. That means I have memory now. There is memory space. So do you get it? Do you get to this part? Right? You get it. Now please talk. If you not get it, Bolu, did you get it? Are you sure? No, this is a variable name. You see, I'm the one creating it. I just assign it like a variable name to it. You can call it anything. No, you can come and call it $door, $table, $anything. In fact, you can put $anything equals to anything. It's still, but this one comes from you. This one comes from you. But what is happening is this is being assigned into this. Yeah. Do we get it now? Okay. Do we get it to this part? Sorry. Do you get it to this part? Gift. Do you get it to this part? Should I explain this? Let me quickly explain this gift and this condition. You have an if. You have a function. And you have bracket. So if this condition is met, like if this thing returns true, it will execute this code. Do you get? If this returns true, it executes this code. So if this one returns true, it will leave this and continue, because this is already true. Do you get? If this is true, it will not execute this. It will execute this and leave this one. Then it continues. Do you get it? I know that the problem is how to write the syntax again. Don't worry. So when you get home, you can open W3 Schools and try to try it again. Because next week I'm not coming back to this one again. Next week I will just take you through how to connect to database and how to do like a simple. We are doing a simple login system. So this is what we do. We write like our HTML, our CSS, put our input field. We now put two buttons: create account, login. When you create account, you take it to another page. You create your account. When you do login, you create another account. You do login. So this is what we do. We will divide the class into two. Some people handles create. Some people handles login. Do you get it? Now, so everybody will be carried along. Then, when we've done the create and the login, we'll now come together and do the part where we connect to the database, where we fetch, we insert, where we create. So I will show you how to insert the database. You started MySQL, right? You have MySQL. So I will show you the database UI and the parts of everything. So that's not an issue.
We are not going to host, Sha. We are not hosting.
We are not hosting yet. Our hosting will be fine now. Don't worry, I will pay for the hosting.
Yes.
And for our
There's
site.
only one site. Everybody can log in.
All of us will do one side now.
Yeah, so you can now show that this is what you use. No. We use one domain. This might even understand domain. No. Me? And she said that she don't understand JavaScript.
She knows WordPress now.
Oh, you do WordPress? But you don't know PHP.
Right then.
You know WordPress, you don't know PHP. Now this is it, right? Let me tell you what happened. Me, I started with PHP. In fact, I used years to learn PHP. And I use PHP to create something similar to WordPress. Because WordPress is today, if I want to work on WordPress, I don't use their admin. No. I will log in. I will go to my server, look at their code. This is what is running. I will change it. Like, I don't want this. This one should be there. Do you know why? Because I have the knowledge of PHP. And WordPress is built with PHP. That's what I want you to know. and I want you to be doing.
And somebody is already knowing what we are planning to do.
And someone already knows domain already. So don't worry. I'm just kidding. So do you understand it, Bolu? Demladi, do you understand it? So this is just the concept. Now, a lot in the WordPress, you will see all this define in WordPress. Like they have it a lot. So when you see define in WordPress, you already know what it's doing. That they're trying to define the constant. And when you see all this dollar, they know that they're declaring a variable. Do you get it? Now, it comes to switch. What switch is just literally doing is, I'm passing a value into my switch argument. If any of this value matches what I pass, remember that this is just holding a value, like a string that we declared at the top as Tomiwa, Tosin Tomiwa. Do you understand? So if the name at the top is Tosin, run this. If it's not Tosin, if it's this, run this. If it's not this, run this. There's another one under it. You know that if you have if, you now have the final part that is else. So here you can have default, like default to. So if none of this condition is met, just run the default code. Do we get it? So passing the name case, if it's Tosin, run this, then break. If you do not put this break, and
what is case?
No, case is a predefined name for it's a predefined keyword for switch. Do you get? So when you do not put this break and it matches Tosin, it just means that this guy is not there. It will run this code, come down to this code, and it will run these two together.
But name is not equal to when.
Yes, but name is not equal to Tomiwa. Yes.
So what's not going to do?
So because you did not break your code, PHP will continue executing it. Yeah. So you must be break. Exactly. To just be executing like that, even though you put keys. Because this condition has actually been met. So you just keep running like that. Exactly. But you must put break. So what I'm trying to tell PHP is, when you are switching the name, when I'm switching and the case is Tosin, so that means this one has been made. Break, just break the code. So it just stop and continue with the other one. So just leave all these ones. So please, always remember that break must be there. Do you get to this part? Gift. Do you get it? Prince, do you get it? Bulu, do you get it? Demlade, do you get it? Titi, do you get it? Temitope, do you get it? Mark, do you get it? Thank you. Tomiwa, don't worry. I know you get it. So it's still the same thing here, right? If name equals to Tosin, echo Tosin. Else, if name equals to Tomiwa, echo Tomiwa. Else, if name equals to Prince, echo Prince. But you said that you prefer this to switch. But me, I prefer switch to this. That's the difference. Me, I prefer switch because with switch, I can easily write, like it's very fast for me. Switch is case, the path. Just continue writing code. This one, I will not start opening bracket, opening, closing bracket, opening, closing bracket. Nah, it's not my calling. All this equals to is a problem. I don't like it. So do you get to this point now? Can we? So when we get home, can we try something?